This is a most-watched video. If you are a mother, please don't skip this video. This school student was involved in a car accident just because they didn't pray before leaving the school. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more stories like this, and always tell your children to pray before anything. The sun rose over Lagos, casting a golden hue across the sprawling cityscape. Amidst the bustling streets and towering skyscrapers, Sunshine Primary School buzzed with excitement. Today was the day of their much-anticipated field trip to the National Museum of Lagos. Teachers and students alike were abuzz with preparations, ensuring that everything was in place for a day of learning and exploration. Mrs. Adeyemi, the enthusiastic third-grade teacher, stood before her class, her eyes gleaming with pride. "Children, today is a special day. You'll get to see the rich history of our nation, the artifacts that tell our story, and the art that reflects our culture. Remember to behave well and make the most of this opportunity," she reminded them, her voice warm and encouraging. The students, adorned in their neat uniforms, chattered excitedly about the exhibits they hoped to see. Among them was Kola, a curious and spirited boy, and Aisha, a thoughtful girl with a deep appreciation for her heritage. As they lined up outside the school gates, their parents waved goodbye, their hearts filled with both pride and a touch of anxiety for their young ones embarking on this adventure. Unbeknownst to them, this seemingly ordinary morning would set the stage for events that would forever change their lives and the fabric of their community. As the students boarded the bright yellow school bus, their energy was palpable. Laughter and animated conversations filled the air, each child eager to share their expectations for the day. The bus driver, Mr. Oyamide, greeted them with a warm smile, ensuring that everyone was safely seated before starting the engine. Kola sat by the window, his eyes wide with anticipation. "I can't wait to see the ancient artifacts," he exclaimed to his friend, Tund. "Imagine holding something that belonged to our ancestors." Aisha, sitting next to him, nodded thoughtfully. "I hope they have exhibits about our local traditions. It's important to remember where we come from." As the bus rolled through the vibrant streets of Lagos, the city's heartbeat seemed to synchronize with the children's excitement. Skyscrapers gave way to historical buildings, and the lively chatter of the students mirrored the dynamic energy of the metropolis. However, amidst the excitement, a silent tradition was overlooked. As the students settled into their seats, the customary morning prayer, a ritual passed down through generations, was dismissed by many as an outdated practice. Mrs. Adeyemi had reminded them earlier, but the allure of the day ahead overshadowed the importance of the prayer, a decision that would soon bear profound consequences. In Sunshine Primary School, morning prayers were more than just a routine, they were a cherished tradition that brought the community together, fostering a sense of unity and spiritual grounding. The prayers were a time for reflection, gratitude, and seeking protection for the day ahead. This morning, however, the usual solemnity was replaced by a flurry of last-minute preparations. Mrs. Adeyemi had been running late, and in her absence, the students grew restless. Conversations turned into giggles, and the atmosphere became more about excitement than contemplation. "Come on, Mrs. Adeyemi will give us the blessing on the way," one student whispered to another, trying to rationalize skipping the prayer. "We've got a big day ahead. We don't have time for this now." Aisha glanced around, noticing the growing disregard for the ritual. "But Mrs. Adeyemi always says it's important," she murmured, a hint of concern in her voice. Kola, ever the optimist, shrugged. "Maybe it's just tradition. We'll be fine without it." Their dismissive attitudes reflected a broader shift in the community. Modernity and the fast-paced life of Lagos were gradually eroding long-held customs. The students' decision to skip the morning prayers, though seemingly minor, set off a chain of events that neither they nor their community could have foreseen. As the bus prepared to depart, the absence of their collective prayers lingered in the air, an unspoken void that would soon demand attention in the most tragic of ways. The school bus, a vibrant yellow vehicle adorned with Sunshine Primary School's emblem, pulled away from the school gates. The students settled into their seats, some chattering excitedly, others gazing out the windows, soaking in the sights of Lagos passing by in a blur. Mr. Alyamide, a seasoned driver with decades of experience navigating the city's chaotic traffic, maintained a calm demeanor. "Sit back and enjoy the ride, everyone. We'll be at the museum in about an hour." As the bus made its way through the bustling streets, the city's vibrancy was on full display. Vendors sold colorful fabrics, the aroma of street food wafted through the air, and the sounds of traffic created a constant hum. The students pointed out landmarks, their eyes wide with fascination at the blend of tradition and modernity that defined Lagos. Inside the bus, Aisha sat next to her best friend, Zara, who was engrossed in a book about Nigerian history. "Did you know that the National Museum has artifacts dating back to the Nok civilization?" Zara asked without looking up. "That's amazing," Aisha replied, her mind racing with curiosity about her nation's rich past. Meanwhile, Kola and Tund were discussing their plans for after the museum visit. "Maybe we can grab some jollof rice on the way back," Kola suggested. Tund nodded eagerly. "And I want to take pictures of the exhibits for my project." As the bus continued its journey, the students' excitement was palpable. However, amidst the lively chatter, the absence of their morning prayers remained unaddressed. The spiritual safeguarding that tradition provided was missing, leaving a subtle yet significant gap in the day's proceedings. Little did they know, this omission would soon cast a shadow over their joyous adventure, leading to a tragedy that would shake their community to its core. The journey to the National Museum was smooth, with the bus navigating through familiar routes. The students' anticipation grew as the city's skyline began to change, signaling their approach to the museum. Colorful banners and historical landmarks dotted the landscape, each telling a story of Lagos' evolution. Inside the museum, the students were greeted by friendly guides who led them through various exhibits. From ancient artifacts to contemporary art, each display was a window into Nigeria's diverse cultural heritage. The students listened intently, their earlier concerns forgotten in the face of new knowledge and discoveries. Aisha was particularly fascinated by the exhibit on traditional Nigerian textiles. She marveled at the intricate patterns and vibrant colors, realizing the depth of craftsmanship that went into each piece. Zara, on the other hand, was captivated by the historical artifacts from the Nok civilization, eager to learn more about their significance. As the day unfolded, the students participated in interactive workshops, creating their own art inspired by what they had seen. Laughter and creativity filled the air, fostering a sense of camaraderie and shared purpose. However, as the afternoon sun began to wane, the bus was called to return home. The students, tired yet content, boarded the bus with stories to share and memories to cherish. As the bus pulled away from the museum, the city's vibrant energy gradually gave way to the quieter streets of Lagos. The students settled back into their seats, unaware that their day of learning and fun was about to take a tragic turn. The return journey through Lagos offered a stark contrast to the morning's excitement. The bustling streets were now bathed in the soft hues of the setting sun, casting long shadows and highlighting the city's dynamic interplay between old and new. Mr. Alyamide drove with his usual caution, but the increasing traffic congestion posed a challenge. Honking horns and the cacophony of street vendors filled the air, creating a symphony unique to Lagos. The students, still buzzing from their day at the museum, began to relax, some napping while others reminisced about their favorite exhibits. Aisha glanced around the bus, her mind replaying the day's lessons. "I never realized how much history we have right here in Lagos," she mused to Zara. Zara nodded thoughtfully. "It's like every corner has a story to tell." As the bus navigated through the maze of roads, the cityscape transformed. Gleaming high-rises stood alongside colonial-era buildings, symbolizing Lagos' journey through time. The juxtaposition of modernity and tradition mirrored the students' own experiences, excited about the future yet deeply connected to their roots. Outside the window, the vibrant colors of the sunset painted the sky, creating a mesmerizing backdrop. The students watched in awe, momentarily forgetting their earlier oversight of the morning prayers. The beauty of the moment provided a temporary solace, but the underlying tension of what was missed lingered silently. As dusk approached, the streets became more crowded, and the bus slowed to navigate through the dense traffic. The anticipation of reaching home grew, but so did the sense of unease that something was amiss. The vibrant energy of Lagos, once a source of excitement, now seemed overshadowed by an unspoken tension. Unbeknownst to the students and Mr. Alumide, fate was about to intervene, bringing with it a profound lesson that would resonate far beyond the confines of their daily lives. As the bus continued its journey home, the fading daylight cast long shadows across Lagos' bustling streets. Inside, the atmosphere was a mix of fatigue and lingering excitement from the day's adventures. However, a subtle undercurrent of unease began to weave through the passengers, though none could quite pinpoint its origin. Mr. Alumide, sensing the shift in the mood, glanced in the rearview mirror. He noticed a few students whispering nervously and others staring blankly out the windows. Unbeknownst to them, dark clouds were gathering on the horizon, signaling an unexpected change in weather. Earlier that morning, an elderly woman at the school had warned about the importance of prayers for protection, but her words had been dismissed as mere superstition by the busy teachers and restless students. Now, the skies darkened ominously, and the first drops of rain began to fall, unnoticed by the distracted bus driver. The rain intensified rapidly, turning into a torrential downpour that made the road slick and visibility poor. Mr. Alumide struggled to maintain control of the bus as Lagos traffic became increasingly chaotic. Cars honked aggressively, pedestrians hurried through the streets, and the streets seemed to narrow under the heavy rainfall. Suddenly, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the sky, followed by a deafening clap of thunder. In that split second, a powerful gust of wind struck the bus, causing it to veer off course. The vehicle skidded uncontrollably, tires screeching against the wet asphalt before crashing violently into a tree. The impact was catastrophic, and chaos erupted inside the bus. Students screamed, and the once vibrant yellow bus was now a mangled wreck, strewn across the roadside. Emergency sirens wailed in the distance as the first responders rushed to the scene, their arrival overshadowed by the tragic loss of many young lives. The aftermath of the accident was a scene of devastation and despair. Families arrived at the hospital, their faces etched with fear and sorrow, clutching each other tightly as they awaited news of their children. The community of Sunshine Primary School was shattered, grappling with the sudden and inexplicable loss of so many young lives in one tragic event. Among the survivors was Aisha, who had miraculously escaped with minor injuries. Shaken and traumatized, she found herself surrounded by a sea of grieving parents and friends. Mrs. Adeyemi, the beloved teacher, was among the casualties, adding another layer of grief to the already broken community. The air was thick with questions and blame, as many pointed to the neglected prayers as the cause of the tragedy. The once dismissed morning rituals now stood at the center of the community's anguish, forcing everyone to confront their beliefs and the possible consequences of overlooking their spiritual duties. Lagos, a city known for its resilience and vibrant spirit, was now cloaked in mourning. The news of the bus accident spread quickly, and the entire community of Sunshine Primary School was thrust into a state of shock and sorrow. Streets were lined with mourners, each person holding candles and flowers in memory of the lost children and teachers. The vibrant energy of the city seemed to pause, allowing space for collective grief and reflection. Local leaders and spiritual advisors convened to address the community's pain and confusion. They urged everyone to come together, emphasizing the importance of supporting one another during this dark time. As families struggled to comprehend the loss, the question of the neglected prayers lingered heavily in the air. Some believed it was a divine message, a call to return to their spiritual roots, while others sought logical explanations for the sudden tragedy. The community stood at a crossroads, torn between modernity and tradition, searching for answers and solace in the wake of unimaginable loss. The hospital halls were filled with the muffled sounds of sorrow and the heavy scent of antiseptics. Families huddled together, holding on to each other for support as they awaited news of their beloved children. The air was thick with anxiety and unspoken fears, each parent praying silently for a miracle. Aisha sat quietly in a corner, her heart aching as she thought about her classmates and the teacher she adored. The loss felt unbearable, a void that no amount of tears could ever fill. Back in the community, funeral preparations began immediately. The vibrant colors of Lagos markets were replaced by the somber hues of mourning. Families gathered to arrange memorial services, each person contributing in their own way to honor the lost souls. The local priest offered words of comfort, urging everyone to find strength in their faith. Yet, beneath the surface, questions lingered about the skipped prayers and whether their neglect had somehow invited this tragedy. The community found itself at a crossroads, torn between seeking answers and clinging to their beliefs. Authorities swiftly arrived at the accident site to investigate the cause of the tragic crash. Detective Adetokunbo, a seasoned investigator known for his meticulous approach, took charge of the case. He meticulously examined the wreckage, noting the heavy rainfall and the poor visibility conditions that might have contributed to the accident. Interviews with Mr. Alumide, the bus driver, and the surviving students provided crucial insights, but Detective Adetokunbo sensed that there was more to this tragedy than mere chance. Meanwhile, the community buzzed with speculation and fear. Some residents believed that the accident was a punishment for neglecting their morning prayers, while others sought logical explanations, pointing to the sudden storm and possible mechanical failures. The tension between traditional beliefs and modern reasoning created a palpable divide. Detective Adetokunbo found himself navigating not only the physical evidence but also the emotional and spiritual turmoil gripping the community. His role was becoming increasingly complex as he sought to uncover the truth behind the heartbreaking loss. As Detective Adetokunbo delved deeper into the investigation, whispers of blame began to circulate among the community members. Some parents directed their anguish toward the students for ignoring the morning prayers, believing that their oversight had angered the divine spirits. Others pointed fingers at the school administration, questioning the lack of emphasis on spiritual practices despite the teachers' reminders. The once harmonious community was now riddled with suspicion and resentment, each group holding steadfast to their interpretation of the tragedy. Aisha found herself caught in the middle of the growing discord. Friends and neighbors approached her, seeking comfort and answers, but her own grief left her feeling helpless. She couldn't comprehend why anyone would blame them for something they had dismissed